A gift you can give to your child is taking good care of yourself. Find support groups that understand your journey. Find safe friends and neighbors who will give you voice for the journey. Find others who understand the unique challenges, the unique types of loneliness you may experience. Find people who won't judge you if you have periods of depression or angst. Find people who understand. Try to find a little bit of time for yourself. Maybe enlist a friend or a support group to bring dinner once a week. If they bring dinner, you might have 45 minutes for yourself. Find a neighbor who would run your carpool one night a week. Take a quick bubble bath before all the kids get home. In small ways that you nurture yourself, you'll have gifts to give to your child that are fresh and authentic. In our years of working with families who foster and adopt, when I say take care of yourself, I have parents look at me in complete disbelief with the challenges, the needs before them. They find it virtually impossible to find time for themselves. But what I always tell those parents is there's no way for you to continue this journey. There's no way for you to be fresh. There's no way for you to have love and affection to give to a child if you haven't given some care and nurture to yourself.
from an empty cup. Supporting your own social and emotional well-being. The purpose of this presentation is to give parents and caregivers some tips and tools to not get burnt out. Because, in my experience, with my son, there has been times when I was literally burnt out and not having the support that I need in the beginning of my journey with autism. I did experience a lot of these things that we're going to talk about today. All right, let's keep going. So the one thing I did learn throughout these, how old is Caleb now? Almost 22, 22 years, that you can't forget about you. And that's what a lot of, especially with single parents, we tend to forget about ourselves. The ones that are dedicated and nurturing, we tend to focus solely on the kid and forget about ourselves. And then we become run down and sick and all kinds of things because we're so focused on our children. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So these are some of the things that we're going to address today, not forgetting about ourselves. So you can't pour from an empty cup. So what we will discuss today is defining what your stressors are, the unique challenges for special needs parents, what is parental burnout, and steps to prevent burnout, and some self-care tips and resources.
That first one is a strong one, defining what your stresses are.
How to identify potential triggers and stressors. Stress is a normal part of everyone's life, and in our busy world, feelings of stress can originate from many different areas. If we worry about and fret over our stress, it can become harmful. But if we recognize it and manage, it can actually help us perform and improve. One essential tool to help you manage stress involves identifying the circumstances that lead you to feel this way. These circumstances are your stressors or triggers. By developing awareness in this area, you can learn to recognize your stressors, prepare for your stressors, and mindfully respond to your stressors with actions that reduce their impact. To identify your stressors, you need to start paying attention. Instead of moving through life mindlessly, take notice of what is happening around you and how you feel in response to what is happening. One of the most effective ways to do this is to keep a log. In this log, you will record 2 sets of information. The first is a list of all the events that occurred in the course of your day. The second is a list of corresponding feelings you had in response to each event. Information is power. The more you pay attention and the more information you gather, the more you will notice patterns between situations in your life and stress levels. The more you notice, the more equipped you will be to take action, reduce stress, and improve your quality of life.
Yes, that's the big one.
Really important.
No.
Right.
We get so tunnel vision and we don't understand where we are and what's really, really the root cause of what's causing the stress, because we get so tunnel vision, you know what I mean? So
yes.
Let's define what are your stressors. Stressors is a stimulus that causes stress, that these can be external, an event, or internal, a memory. Example, your child has an overwhelmed in public places. Sort of like when a child has like an outburst or a tantrum in public places.
Sit up, Joshua, sit up. This is your warning. I asked you to sit up. You did not sit up. Come with me. I'm going to take him outside. This is nonsense. We are going home and you're going to owe me a timeout when we get home.
Children with autism, these tips and strategies will also help, people with what we call normal children. You know what I mean? Because we all have stresses and we can all be better parents. So consider that. Yeah.
So another example is you worry about your boss putting you on the spot like he did the last time at a board meeting. Let me tell you something. I knew all about that. Okay, let me tell you. It is crazy because I have been in spots and places where the quote unquote big wigs and politicians and things, in meetings and things. And I have a lot of situations where my boss, who's a part of that crowd, and they know that I know something, or I know how to do something, or I know some information, they will put me on the spot in front of all these people to give information or correct something. And it's like, what? Are you serious right now? You talk about sweating, about to throw up. So look, I know all about that.
And it's amazing because, we raised, one son and 3 daughters, and they all went through that. Just the pressure of being put on the spot is amazing that they had to go through. So that was one challenge that all of them, Madison now even, is challenged with that. But I had to step in and assist a lot of parents throughout my years in the store, usually, when they have a child that's out of control. Because the first thing I notice, a parent is embarrassed more than anything.
Yes, that's
and you can see it all over their body. So I comfort them. And then me just stepping over to comfort them quiets the child.
Exactly.
Not all the time, but they're definitely going to look for mom for protection because they don't know who I am and why I'm over here. So sometimes it's okay to step in, just come in with kindness.
And even our teenagers and those are in college, they experience this as well, being put on a spot. Because I can even remember being in high school when a teacher would put you on the spot or call you up in front of the whole senior class, you know what I mean? to do something or say something, you know what I mean? So a lot of times, I think everybody experienced that second point, being put on the spot. That can totally stress you out.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your stressors? The unique challenges of parenting a special needs child. And in another, I think on the clip where we talked about coping with the autism diagnosis, we did talk about the challenges in relationships when you're dealing with a child with special needs. That means not only your relationship with your spouse, but other family members as well, and friends. So that can be a stressful situation as well.
Yeah, because with your child, you're going to have to set boundaries with everybody.
Exactly.
And with this particular child, everybody's going to have to be on the same page of what's expected on how to handle, how to redirect. They have to be on board, and especially if you know that it works, then, anybody you're introducing your child to or have them around, they need to be aware of what triggers your child or what can possibly trigger and make sure they don't irritate or exaggerate that.
Yes. And there is a presentation that's coming up where I'm going to address all that. The sharing the autism diagnosis with your family and friends. So I'm going to address those types of situations and how to deal with it as well. Other strengths
let me add to that because some parents look at the diagnosis as a failure, or they've done something wrong, or some type of guilt or shame that they may feel of just a fear. It's already hard to raise children who will be able to function on their own, but to have children that may not be able to function on their own, it is stressful, and they need to know the future steps, all the way out until they're adults. Because again, none of us are promised every day, and there's no guarantee we're all going to be here for the longevity of our child to make sure that they're protected and safe all the way through till their adulthood. So, just consider that it's not a flaw. It's just a different way of living now. Now we have to consider a different way of mindset of thinking and how we move as a family. That's all. You're not broken. The child is not broken.
Exactly. And for those that are working parents, we have the stress of work-home life balance as well. And then you have workplace worries, financial concerns, health concerns. So a lot of things could be stressing you out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So identifying stressful triggers. It can be work, finances, physical health, trauma, helping your child with schooling, like what Miss She said, going through those fractions. Let me tell tell you something, because when they was going, during the pandemic, when the kids were at home, let me tell you, I had to learn a lot all over again. Because a lot of stuff you forgot. And then I was like, wait a minute, I think I forgot how to do trigonometry.
I don't think I ever learned that. I ain't I left in the 10th grade and went to Job Corps, so that wasn't a part of the GED, having to do any type of trigonometry equations. So I was like,
all kinds of stuff. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but to watch my children sit and do it, and show me examples of their work and watching them work through those problems, it was amazing. Because I would tell them, like, I have no clue of what you're doing, So I appreciate you learning.
Exactly. And they changed the way that children learn now, totally different from what we were doing. I don't know this new stuff they did. I'm like, the questions and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is so stupid. Why did? But yeah,
it seems like they added more steps into the math. They kind of want the children to break everything into 10 models and then add the ones, instead of just working the problem.
Let me show you a shortcut how to get to this answer real quick. Okay.
Okay.
Health of the family, child care, relationships, scheduling, food security, attitudes, thoughts, housing, legal matter, mental, some everything can be a trigger for you. So out of this list, sis, do you see anything else can be a stressful trigger?
I would say your own childhood projection. The stresses of your own childhood, because it can just surface at any time. We're kind of reactive, us ladies, with the way we move in our consciousness. So when something surfaces, it'll trigger. Whether you repeat what you endured or you're conscious enough to correct some of the things that you thought were flawed in your upbringing. But I think those are a lot. The childhood upbringing of yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, definitely. All right. Unique challenges. Complex children of all disabilities. I mean, you can have a child that not necessarily have autism, but they may have dyslexia, or they may have a hearing impairment, a visual impairment, or a behavior issue. All of these are unique challenges for parents. So it's not, I don't want to minimize or grandize any particular disability. To me, all of them are unique challenges. Daily overwhelm, constant demands, constant care, aggressive behaviors, physical exertion, antisocial behaviors. I mean, the list can go on and on and on when you're dealing with these types of, with these unique children. Now, the last one, let me tell you, that needing to plan for every outing.
Oh, yeah.
Child, let me tell you. I truly thank God I did not have to do that. But I have worked with several parents that had children where they literally have to plan a day ahead or hours before they take their children out the door because of the aggressive behavior or just not being able to listen, or like this one, I think I told the story before when the little boy would not let his mom go to the grocery store with him. Like he would just act the fool. I mean, literally, like pulling everything off the shelves and screaming, hollering, yelling. And I had to go with her and kind of like jack him up to make him act right.
Oh, man.
I had to put him in the corner in the freezer, like, look, little boy, you don't sit your behind in this cart? Or bitch about to tear your behind up in it.
Goodness gracious. And that's something that's going to be,
we did it though.
Yeah. I mean, and some behaviors are, not able to change, and they're going to have to go through that process every time. The children are going to grow up and they're going to be 35, and, and it's some things that you're going to have to prepare for. I was lucky enough to, worked with the ARC in Franklin County and Clinton County in New York for almost 8 years. So I had the pleasure of, handling and assisting your adult children, so I've had to experience a 45-year-old man who acted like a toddler. I mean, and wore shorts and big toddler-like shoes, and, and the personality was a toddler. But this man had to been like 6'6", sis, 300 pounds. and
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
a baby. You know what I mean? So, and I had to experience a lot of these adult people with, special needs with no family. Whether
Mhm.
they are aged out, the family died, however the case may be. But a lot of the homes are very loving and caring. So I give a lot of shout. I don't know about here because I haven't worked here in Baltimore, but upstate in New York, they were very uh, individualized, centered where everybody's individual plan. So like you said, I had guys where I had to prepare on the
Yeah,
takeout anywhere
yeah.
we needed to go with some places that I knew that would trigger them and I can't go there. So
Right,
it was
right.
definitely planned. Yeah, yeah. Planned
Yeah.
outcomes is what we call them. So it's a
Mhm.
plus. It's a thing to be that strategic with your children very young because they have the ability to learn for themselves and be independent in a lot of ways. We just have to guide them.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
it. Hmm.
So here are some examples of unique stressful situations, with the parents. And I've experienced, especially number one, the feelings of isolation. When Caleb got the diagnosis first, I was by myself in North Carolina. My family was in different states. And I truly felt by myself. And then this being a new diagnosis, and I'm learning about it myself, I'm feeling like nobody understands, so I kind of hid from people because
Right.
it was like the feeling of everybody's watching me and my kid, that's staring. So you
Yeah.
do
All eyes on
have,
me.
yeah. And so you kind of hide when you first get into it. Because during that time, of course, I was going through the stages of grief. I was going through the denial and then, the
Understandable.
grieving process. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was like I shut myself off from everybody. So this is number one is one of the big ones, especially when you first get that diagnosis, the feeling of isolation, lack of touch. That goes along with the isolation because I know a lot of couples they tend to not be as affectionate to one another. They kind of disassociate themselves because this is a hard thing to take on,
Yeah.
especially when
Internalized for each
you get
one
that
individually.
diagnosis. Yeah,
Yeah, the
exactly,
blaming. You could be blaming each other or,
exactly.
thinking about the things, if you're the man, you're thinking about the things that she was doing while she was pregnant or not doing, not considering, because there are times when our men are like, hey, you shouldn't eat that. Hey, why
Right.
don't you have this? And we're not considering those things, as well as his DNA. She could be upset that, yeah, you kind of did this, brother, and you want to act like it's my fault, so it's that blame game.
You be going through all kinds of stuff be going through your head. So then, it's like, don't touch
Yeah.
me because,
Put that
and
energy
then,
towards love because even special children need to know and feel and sense that parents are loving each other. They can feel that
exactly.
conflict. Okay.
Oh yeah,
They can
they
feel it.
pick it up. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Hmm.
Of course, sleep, not just with babies, but a lot of kids with disability have sleep issues. And so therefore the parents having sleep issues as well. I know a couple of parents where they literally have to watch their kid 24/7, like, constantly looking on them, or they have to sleep in the room because they wander off. That is a real issue, a big issue, especially with kids with autism, is the wandering. Um,
Yes.
so
They
this
have
is not
bracelets and
like,
things. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's something you can add in there because they do have bracelets. It's like alarms. It'll be like a bracelet you'll put on them, and it's attached to the bed. And once it separates, it's a magnet. And the magnet separates. It'll sound an alarm. A beep, 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 or whatever the case may be. So that's something we have
and
for a lot of our guys. I remember. Yes.
and me and King will be touching on those safety issues in the safety presentation. So we're going to talk about that in detail. However, then you have kids that have swallowing issues and other health issues where you have to constantly watching them. And, just like when you have a newborn, but they're just older, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
sleep
Some
is,
things are just not. What did I say? Primal. A
Mhm.
lot of us are come equipped with our primal instincts, the basics of knowing we need to eat and, those things. But a lot of our guys who are on the spectrum may have this inability.
Exactly. Yep.
Goodness. Yes.
Of course, we kind of touched on this already. Embarrassment in public. Your child is, doing all kinds of things and have a lot of behavior issues. Like the little girl in the video. Throwing a temper tantrum in the shoe
Yeah,
store.
I don't think that child had no, because children have tantrums, so a lot of strategies can work for a lot of children. The one thing I would say is give them something to occupy their time, something that that they can manipulate.
Yes.
Headphones if they don't like, loud sounds. There's so many things that we can do to soothe our whole transition of a shopping trip, like, 'cause it's stressful.
And right here, I'm going to insert a couple of pictures when Caleb was a little bean, where he would be in the cart and he would have his little portable DVD player and his earphones on.
There you go.
Yep. He was a little bean.
We had to do stuff like that for Madison.
Yeah, you have look. The kids are not gonna be in no car just looking at you pulling things off the shelf. Okay, they want to do something too. They
want to help. I always included them. Make a list, and if they at an age where they can read, include them, help them pick it out, see if they can find. What we usually buy? Cereal. What kind of milk do we buy? Like, these things are all lessons. Include them. They want inclusion.
And now at this age, Caleb has his own little list. So I will write down all his little things that I get from him all the time, and then give him his list, and he has to go and find everything that's on that list and put it in the cart. So
awesome.
Even at the age he's in now, I try to. You still got to keep him occupied, and then you have to understand that you have kids that have sensory issues. It can be the lighting, it can be all the people, it can be any type of noise. So you have to make sure you learn your child, so you know how to do them, even when they're in public and at home. So you won't, you will lessen the quote unquote embarrassment in public. Of course, the battles of school system. Lord have mercy. Yes, Jesus. Fighting with the school system to make sure your child gets everything that he needs or he or she needs. It is a battle and it's a stressful situation, especially when you're dealing with a dismissive school system.
My advice on that: if they are nonverbal, I wouldn't send them. I don't know what script is forcing us with the idea that they have to be somewhere where they are tolerated and not nurtured and cared for properly, and there's no guarantee. Like, and that scares me, because I've gotten 2 women fired in my 7-year tenure with working with any sign of neglect. I'm snitching on you. First, I'm going to confront you, and if you don't hold yourself accountable, and I'm still going to write it up, because these guys' bodies are very sensitive, and one thing can cause something else, and a pneumonia can kick in, like anything, and I dealt with a lot of people who needed total care. So there's no way I'm going to come in the morning when I had one of my consumers that evening and I left at 4:30, and I come back the next morning and everything is still the same in her room. I was pissed.
Yeah.
So.
We're going to talk about at the caregiver show with DJ and Jennifer. I'm trying to get one more. If you know someone, let them know that we're going to do that show. They can come on. Jennifer shared a story with me how she literally had to train the people that was dealing with this young man, that they were feeding him sugar all day long and didn't expect him to be off the rails. Like, what is this?
Yeah, no.
Why are you giving him medication that will make him hyper, and then you feeding him sugar all day? Oh, I can't wait till she share that story with y'all. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. Of course, is the increase of financial pressure. It's estimated that raising a child with a disability or autism will literally cost you at least $6 million to the age of 18.
I've cried almost every night, wishing that it would get easier.
I've had more panic attacks than I can count. We had over $17,000 worth of property damage to our home and cars, and we quit counting at that point.
And it looks so different than what I thought it would.
It's full time. It's 24/7. It's hard.
Your heart never stops racing.
The stress that had started led to insomnia, severe mood swings, avoidance, and as I read the symptoms of PTSD, I realized, my God, I'm going through this.
People probably just can't comprehend just the amount of like constant stress that you're under.
We're pretty much alone. We're kind of out here alone in the abyss of full-time caregiving.
It's just hard.
Ignorance is bliss. She's fine, he's fine, they're fine. And we plaster our smiles on our faces and pretend like everything's fine. And we just can't do that anymore because most caregivers are not fine and they're not doing well.
So yeah, so let's go to the potential results of being stressed out. One is burnout. We're going to talk about that in detail. High levels of stress, increased exhaustion, increase in family challenges, relationship challenges, marital challenges, and we're going to talk about this one. Increase risk of illness. That's one thing that a lot of times we kind of skip over because in my research, I found that 70% of all illnesses has been linked to negative stress. 70% of all illnesses has been linked to negative stress. Did you know that, sis?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Irritable gut issues. Yeah, it's so many things. Yeah, stress can cause all kinds of ailments to the body.
So when we're stressed out, here's what happens. We do the flight or fight response. And this is what brings on these symptoms of illnesses when we're that stressed out. So let's take a look at which ones. Here's just a few. Muscle tension, digestive issues, ulcers, IBS. Let me tell y'all, yes, let me be transparent.
Yeah.
Being stressed out, yes, ma'am, that would definitely cause it because, like, you know, like I shared with you and brother that me and King is going through a situation, and guess what we found out the other day?
No.
He developed ulcers that quick.
Yeah. Yes.
Stressing out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
IBS, constipation, diarrhea, all that. When you stress out, your body reacts to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would add freeze in there. Flight, fight, or freeze. You know, some people just don't do nothing.
Okay.
They get stuck, and that's that depression, you know, where they can't move, they can't sleep. They, you know, that's the stuck mode.
That's what I think that's the one of the clips, one of the points I'm going to bring up is the depression part. Heart rate and blood pressure problems, shallow breathing, you know, hyperventilating, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that anxiety, yes. Panic attacks, yes.
Panic attacks, physical exhaustion, like this poor lady here, like she can't even get up on this picture. This is a big one. And a lot of people don't even think about that. Toxin buildup. You say, okay, Ms. What do you mean? All of a sudden, you having skin issues.
Yes.
Eczema, psoriasis, scaly skin, pimples, patches, hives, all that is toxin buildup in your body. And a lot of times it's caused by stress.
Right.
here we go, depression. And I when Caleb was first diagnosed, this one I experienced like almost right away. Of course, because I was going through my grieving stage, and I was severely depressed, where I had to go on medication. I was suicidal because when I first found out about it, I blamed myself. And so that sent me into a depression. And so, I felt like he would have been better off without me. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
Like, it was my fault. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
So this is a big part. Depression is a big part.
And I think because we have expectations.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Dehydration and mental exhaustion. You can be mentally exhausted. There has been times, especially in the early days, where I would literally stay up all night researching over and over and over, just finding all kinds of things, and then taking the time to read it from word for word. I was relentless.
Yeah.
Utterly relentless about it, girl. I was talking to people on the other side of the pond all times of night because I was relentless for my child. So you can be mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I want to talk about the burnout because that's very important. Parental burnout. Sis, can you read that for me?
I sure can. Parental burnout. Being an autistic parent is hard. When your kids are also neurodivergent, this can make life even more challenging when they try to navigate everyone's needs. When we need space, a lot of the time our children need connection and closeness, and we can become overwhelmed and tapped out. When there are days, weeks, or months of this, we can risk entering into autistic burnout territory. Parental burnout can eventually lead to feelings of resentment towards your child and spouse, detachment from your child, and overall exhaustion. Children with autism are very sensitive, and when you are feeling anxious, resentful, or detached, our kids pick up on those underlying feelings and react. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. Parental burnout.
Let's go back to the first one. The times when because we have kids that are very, they can be clingy, they want to be up under you, you know what I mean? And then when you're trying to find just a moment to yourself, like I see a lot of the little TikToks when the women be like, I can't even take a poop by myself because here come the kid. The kid in the bathroom. I can't take a shower because the kid, you know what I mean? They everywhere. I can't do nothing. I gotta sneak off in the garage. And next thing you know, here they come.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. And those little things really, everything starts so early, sis. Like, cause I had them kind of program. It's just personal time. They can come a knocking, but you can get you a book and sit right at that door.
Exactly. Now, I really want to talk about this part when it's talk about the feeling of resentment towards the child and the spouse. That's a real thing.
Yes.
I've seen and worked with a lot of parents, and 9 times out of 10 is single parents, and or those parents that they can be married or whatever, or with the father or whatever, but they don't have that outside support. This happens a lot. The resentment towards the child. And in turn, when they have resentment towards the child and detach from the child, this is where the abuse come in. This is where the abuse of the child comes in. The verbal and the physical abuse. So we have to be real careful. That's why when I'm working with parents, I always tell them, take the time to go through the 7 stages because you won't go through this. Right. If you try to rush yourself through it and you're not tackling all those emotions and all those feelings, you're going to end up resenting.
And within that, try not to judge one another.
Mm-hmm.
the judging part of it, the blaming and the shaming. It has to be a united fort. And give each
Exactly.
other grace. Show each other grace because neither one of you know what the hell you're doing.
Exactly.
For one. So, they have an input as well, and consider that. And what works for you with that child may not work for him with that child. And what works for him with that child, because this child knows the difference between their mommy and daddy, whether you think so or not. Like,
Exactly.
so it's some
And let me
things that
say,
he can do and do better, and y'all work on that.
thank you. Exactly. You
Yeah.
have to. It has to be a united front. And the
Yes.
part where it talks about your kids pick it up, yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
These kids pick up every little thing. And then if you have a real special kid like Mr. Caleb, I can be in this room crying to myself. He doesn't hear it, but something will tell him to come in here and ask me if I'm okay because he feels me.
Under lunch. Sorry.
He feels me. He's that he will feel a person's spirit or their whatever emotional state they're in. So these kids are very sensitive. So you can try to hide your resentfulness or your anger or however you're feeling for them, but they feel it. And guess what? Then they're going to start to project the same thing. So be careful, parents.
It's definitely a strong possibility. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Parents are often typecast as people who never tire out. From feeding kids all hours of the night to being at every Little League game or band concert, they're often cast as superhuman. But as obvious as it sounds, parents aren't magical, limitless beings, and they can get burnt out just like anyone else. Well, maybe not just like anyone else. Research is starting to show that their brand of burnout seems to be unique, and by learning to identify it fast, we can help avoid it. Psychologists define burnout as a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. We often associate it with school or work, and until somewhat recently, this was the main way psychologists thought about it too. But lately, they found that parenthood leads to similar effects. A study published in 2014 used testimonies from 901 parents, and it identified 4 main factors to parental burnout. First, people felt exhausted while parenting, though not necessarily while doing other things like being at work. They also felt like they were losing pleasure and fulfillment in their parental role. And finally, burned out parents emotionally distanced themselves from their children and were prone to contrasting parenthood with their lives before kids. Those first 2 traits are pretty similar to career burnout, but this study showed that the last 2 are unique. Workers don't tend to dwell on their pre-job lives, and they're also prone to dehumanizing the people they work with. In a way, burned out parents don't seem to dehumanize their kids, which is reassuring actually. Using these 4 traits as a starting point, you can measure parental burnout with surveys that ask parents to rate how true statements feel. Things like, I sometimes feel as though I'm taking care of my children on autopilot. And these surveys place the frequency of parental burnout at anywhere between 2 and 12%. That's a whole lot of tired parents. But this research was done on parents in Europe, so the numbers could vary by culture. We'll learn more as studies continue. Still, considering parental burnout can impact the level of care parents provide to their kids and themselves, it's important we learn how to identify and reduce it. So how do you figure out when someone is at risk? There seem to be a few ways. For example, researchers have looked at the well-tested Big 5 personality traits, and they suggest that high levels of neuroticism and low levels of agreeableness or conscientiousness might make parents prone to burnout. These are traits associated with having a hard time maintaining positive emotional relationships, responding to other people's needs, and keeping a well-structured home environment. Things that could make existing parental stress worse. But on the flip side, aiming for perfection can cause burnout too, as one 2018 study on Japanese parents pointed out. As any motivational speaker will tell you, no one's perfect. And chasing that impossible goal can set someone up to expend a lot of physical and mental effort. That exertion, along with the eventual realization that there's no way to be the perfect parent, can be demoralizing and send someone into burnout.
All right. Here are some symptoms of burnout to watch for. Fatigue, feeling overwhelmed, feeling hopeless, frequent feelings of sadness, anxiety, or depression, difficulty sleeping, decrease of social interactions, that the being isolated situation I talked about in the beginning, the lack of interest in activities that you once enjoyed. Because it's like, for an example, when my mom passed, dealing with that, I love music, but because she was a music lover and special gospel music and stuff, I couldn't listen to it. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to enjoy it. I didn't want to hear it because it will be bringing back those feelings. You know what I mean? So when you're under a lot of stress and emotional stress or feeling burnt out, you tend to back away from things that you used to enjoy, like reading a book or spending time with certain people. And here we go, even spending time with your husband, denying him the poom poom because you burnt out. It happens.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, shit. If if it's good, it can give you an exert of energy. I'm just saying.
Okay, you like, let's go. Never mind. That's another podcast. That's okay.
Yeah.
Forgetfulness, difficulty concentrating on one task, physical symptoms, headaches, stomach aches, chest pains. We talked about that. Being irritable, sudden outbursts of anger when you see parents just cussing and fussing at the children and carrying on. Just being mean to the kids. Appetite changes. Some will lose a lot of weight, and then some will gain a lot of weight. I know when I was going through this in the early stages with Caleb, I was on the opposite end. I went from a size 10, 12 to a size 22.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank God for deliverance. Okay. And role confusion. I mean, I had a little note because I want to talk about role confusion. So here is what role confusion means. Role confusion describes the difficulty some parents have separating from their roles as a parent, spouse, friend, or close companion. Role confusion often negatively impacts relationships and behavior over time, leading to long-term consequences for many. What do you think about that, sis? Role confusion.
Yeah. It's just a lot of control. There's no direct leadership. There's no who's in charge, who's going to make the most logical and best decision for the situation. It's not about who's right or who's wrong. It's about who can logically and financially, make the best decision that's going to give us the best outcome. So it definitely needs to be that. I see women want men to be emotionally driven and, nurturing like women, but it's unacceptable. We are different, and it should be respected and be allowed to, exhibit that the way they see fit.
Yeah, and I
So
think
that's hard.
especially with us women, sometimes it's hard for us to relinquish control. We get stuck with the "mommy knows best" phrase.
Right. Or with the routine, because if you have an already set routine, for him to come in and try to switch it up,
Exactly.
Again, that's the control, and stop it.
Right. So here is my limit. It is not your fault. And here is something that a lot of parents are struggling with. They're blaming themselves. And this is one of the causes of being burnt out. First of all, I want you to know that if you're struggling with parenting your child in autistic burnout, it is not your fault. Parenting can be hard at the best of times, even when you are feeling well and have money and practical support to help you. If you don't have the support to take a break, rest and recover from the burnout, and then you are not failing, you are being failed. There is not enough support for autistic parents in autistic burnout. Now, here is where I kind of want to say, we may feel like there's not a lot of support, but I find a lot of times that a lot of parents don't even reach out to find the support.
Right. And then even if they try to reach out, it's not what they expected. It's not what they want, the way they want it. So it becomes a conflict.
We need to move towards a society that better understands the needs of autistic parents and put support in place before we reach burnout. And that's one of the things, when I started my initiative, that was my main thing. I have resources for the kids, but I want to focus solely on the resources for the parents. Because as soon as we get the diagnosis, always early intervention for the child. But I believe there should be early intervention for the parents too. That has been my goal and my mission ever since I started this. That it's not only you need early intervention for the child so that they can thrive, but you need early intervention for the parents as well. It needs to be a collaborative effort. You can't just solely focus on the child and not focus on the parent. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I have some strategy and resources to help you now.
Is they start withdrawing, caregivers start withdrawing from family and friends, they start getting sick themselves, they have guilt feelings, they start feeling hopeless.
Being pulled in several directions creates a heightened sense of anxiety. It can manifest itself in sleep deprivation, depression, or excessive use of drugs or alcohol, all things that increase general health risks.
It sounds simple, but the first step in feeling better is to recognize the issue. Caregivers get so caught up in managing their daily schedules that they don't take time to look at the big picture and schedule their own breaks.
Ask a friend, ask anybody you can to come and help you, even if you take that 1 hour for yourself to just go take a walk or just to have a cup of coffee or read a book. You need that time for yourself, and there should be absolutely no guilt involved. It's very, very necessary.
Let's see what I got. Steps to preventing caregiver burnout. First things first, educate yourself about autism. When experiencing challenges related to your child's condition, an established understanding helps you better to respond to your circumstances. That goes, if you educate yourself on the symptoms, if you educate yourself on all of the quirks that your child does, a lot of kids have like sensory issues and they stim or they have outbursts and things. The more you educate yourself on your child's circumstance, the better you'll be able to react to it and not get so frustrated. Because when you have the knowledge is power. And you use that power to adjust or react to the situation at hand. What you think about that, sis?
Oh yeah, definitely knowledge is power. The more you know, the more confident you'll be.
Exactly.
So building that confidence with reading books is quite important.
Exactly. So my next advice would be communicate your feelings. And that goes back to finding some type of support. And if you're in a marriage or, you're with the child's father or something like that, communicating with each other about what you're feeling, what's going on would definitely help to keep you from burnout. Because if you express to, say if you like you and Mr. She says you're going through something with Maddie and you express to him, what you're feeling and what the situation is, then he will be able to step in and kind of, taking that particular load off of you so you won't be burnt out.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. And that's why we need each other and be able to actively listen, because that person can step in and address that situation with the child, and that may help that child see things a little differently and change their behavior.
So by confiding in someone you trust about how you feel and how you can more deeply understand your experience to ensure you have everything you need to feel better. So communication is key. You can't, and that's one thing I find with, within the community that I work with, that we kind of hold things in because we feel like nobody understands it. And you could be talking to another autism mom, but if they child or because a lot of times when I'm talking to different parents and things, and then when they look at Caleb's journey, their journey is not the same as Caleb's journey, or Caleb doesn't act like their kid acts, so they feel like I don't understand. So then they kind of pull back from communicating or telling what their true feeling is. They kind of shelter a little bit. They try to like not really confide in you like they need to in order to get the services, the help that they need. So they kind of not really be forthcoming, I should say.
I mean, and it's the hard medicine. They see you doing it and doing it well, and it starts to make them feel like they're not doing as much as they should be. But that should be a positive influence and inspiration, a motivating factor for that person to do more or try to attempt to be better. But no, they'll pull back because it's a lot of work, sis. And I ain't gonna lie, a lot of mothers don't want to do it. Exactly. So they may need a kick in their butt of confidence, of reality check, because I think that has a lot to do with it. It's work. These kids are gonna need work forever, and it is a job, and you should get the best people around you to help you do that for them.
Exactly. And then a lot of times I hear they people will feel, they think that you're going to be judgmental of them, and so they tend not to.
With this again, reality check. We will. Holding someone accountable is judging. I'm looking from the outside. I'm seeing what is not working for you, and I may have some tips and strategies to make that situation work better. So this I don't want to be judged. Yeah, everybody's judging. This is the reality we need to live in now.
Exactly.
You take them to the doctor's judging. What do you mean?
Exactly right. They judge you as soon as you come to the door. Exactly.
Please. And even whatever doesn't come out your mouth, they're going to make an assessment without you saying anything.
Child. Yes, indeed. As soon as they look at the race and the age, they already have a preconceived notion about you. That's just fact. And I've worked in the healthcare field, and so I know exactly how they think. As soon as you schedule that appointment, they go through your chart and they see the age, race. They already have and your insurance. What type of insurance you have? They already have a preconceived notion about you. So take that in consideration. They already judging you. My third one is prioritizing self-care practices. I had to learn this myself because like I was saying in the beginning, child, it was all about me getting the needs met for my son, and I totally forgot about myself. And like I just told you, I was a size 10, 12, and I went to a size 22 because I totally forgot about myself and just focused solely on him. I didn't care about eating healthy or whatever. I didn't care about myself. I was just totally focused on him. And so I really, really want to, especially with us women, I'm a woman, so I can really speak to the women. We do that a lot.
Yeah.
We do that a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then resent later. That's what you don't want to do.
Then resent later. Be like, this why my stomach like this because I had you.
Accept the role that you are in.
I was pregnant with you and I gained 45 pounds when I was pregnant with you. And look, and the mama like 60 years old and she's still complaining.
Shit. I gained 70 with each one of mine.
She be still complaining. She still be blaming the child for her gaining weight when she was pregnant and the child 30-something years old.
Well, my mother had the 3 roles. She's like, this is John, this is Mike, and this is Nikki.
Look, man, it's been like 30 years. You can't be blaming that child now, okay? Oh my goodness. Oh, here's some more tips. Like we said before, prioritizing your self-care. Slow down and take a moment to live. Just slow down. Everything doesn't have to be a rush. And I had to learn it too, because child, look, I would do 99 things at one time. Okay. And then be tore up at the end of the night because my brain can't shut down because I got 99 things on my mind. So we have to stop that and slow down and take
I do that now. I do that now.
Measure your skills that are important for you. We tend to, like I said before, we tend to focus on increasing or encouraging the skills of our children, and we're not really thinking about ourselves. Again, forgetting ourselves and solely thinking about our children. Turn those negative thoughts around and find the positive. That's very, very important because, I've learned through this journey that, you're going to have a lot of negative things come into your mind. Especially in the beginning, you're going to be thinking like, my child is never going to do this. My child's never going to do that. And what's going to happen in the future? What's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? And is people going to look at me funny? If people going to, somebody's going to abuse my child. I mean, all kinds of things will come to your mind. And you have to get into a place where you kind of wash those negative thoughts out of your mind and try to either switch those thoughts to something positive or, totally wash it out your mind. Because there were times when Mr. Caleb wasn't reading, but he was singing. And I would say, well, he can't read a book, but he sure can sing a song. You know what I mean? Like just trying to
absolutely.
On a negative part, you know what I mean? So yeah, you really, really have to try to incorporate that in your self-care so you won't get burnt out.
Yeah, I agree. And it's hard. So, while you're brushing your teeth and washing your face, say positive things, because you can, I would say if you're in tune with yourself, when you're struggling, because again, you feel it, right? The depression, the anxiety, the stress, the lack of motivation. So you say to yourself right now, I am challenged with this growth process. I'm aware of it. And I'm going to have to accept it. I'm going to give myself some grace and we're going to work through this. It's hard to do that. This is something I have to do with my 9-year-old all the time. You homeschool. There's no need for you to feel all this pressure, but she still puts a lot of pressure on herself. I have to say, take it easy on yourself. It's a growing process. You're learning something new and it's a struggle and it's a conflict with your body and mind all at the same time. So that grace is important to show yourself.
Right. And we already talked about this. Don't let your life revolve just around your kids. And that is something all parents, not just special need parents, all parents need to incorporate that. Be proactive with your time. Be intentional with your time. It doesn't have to be that you have to do something of work, but make sure that it's something of value, if that makes sense. Be involved in your child's life outside of the house. Now, here's the big one, because it goes back to that isolation thing. You and that kid being locked in the house 24/7 is going to drive you crazy. Okay. Go outside. Go outside, people.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out on YouTube on the panels is not, no, ma'am. No. Go outside with your children. And I'm doing a presentation on Let's Go Outside on the benefits of having your child outside. The benefits of it, and it's showing the benefits of being outside. It actually helps your child with social, mental, and emotional issues. We're going to get deep into that when we're talking about Let's Go Outside. So this is very important.
Yeah, and that's something that we're managing now.
Okay. Equip your kids with tools they need to succeed. This is another one, and I'm going to go into depth with that too. Stop handicapping your kids. Let me tell you something about autistic kids. These little jokers are smart, okay? They smarter than the average bear.
Okay.
Stop handicapping your kids. Let me tell you something. By the age of 5, Caleb knew how to brush his teeth, wash his own behind, and fold his clothes and tie his shoes. And from there, I told him how to wash dishes, wash his clothes, clean his room, clean his bathroom.
Yeah. But wait. Didn't they tell you he wasn't going to
cook his own breakfast? He knows how to cook his own lunch. Go on,
right? But didn't doctors tell you he wasn't going to be able to do that, right? What did they try to?
Not be able to do none of that. Okay.
Yeah. Stop listening to them, y'all. Stop listening to them. They want you to not make any effort or do the work.
Exactly.
They'll say, he's never going to be able to do this. She's never going to be able to do that. Yeah. Okay. Watch.
Exactly. Equip your children with tools to succeed, and also equip them with tools that they're able to take some of the load off of you. Let me tell you something. I do not have to fix Caleb's breakfast, so that is a load off of me. I do not have to fix Caleb's lunch. That is a load off of me. I don't have to tell Caleb to brush his teeth or wash his butt. He does that himself. I don't have to tell Caleb to clean his room or anything. He does that because I taught him the tools to succeed, and therefore it's a load off of me, and so I am not overwhelmed. That's more time for me.
Yeah, I agree. Maddie's 9 and all of that stuff. Yeah, I help a lot. She make a lot of her own cooking and things like that. But if we don't equip them and we do it all for them, they're never gonna learn.
Exactly. Find a mom friend who knows what you're going through. We talked about that. Finding support, finding a mom or somebody that you can relate to talk to.
Yeah, she's not lying. Sorry.
Prayer and meditation. This one is a big one for me. If you don't believe in God or whatever, meditate. But taking the time to connect spiritually does help. It does help. Don't want to get too much in it because then you be talking about the whole religious thing. I ain't trying to go that way. Not on this presentation. But just know whatever you believe or whatever type of spiritual thing that you practice, incorporate that into your life with your child as well. Because let me tell you something, Caleb, pray for you in a minute, okay?
Go, Caleb. Amen.
Let me tell you something, Caleb will come in and lay hands on you and say, in the name of Jesus, amen, okay? Let me tell you, I'm doing an interview with his high school teacher. She's going to tell you he will make the whole class get in a circle and hold hands and pray for them when they acting up. Okay, don't play with my baby, all right?
Oh, that's going to be a good interview. I can't wait to see her.
That's Pastor Caleb, child. What? Don't play with Caleb. Caleb will pray for you in a minute. Keep learning and equipping yourself with knowledge. Like I said, you're going to forever find something new. You're going to forever learning something new. So don't stop researching. Don't stop learning. Don't stop reading. Don't stop going to seminars and webinars because you're always going to find a little tidbit here and there. Like, for example...
Let that be your motto song. Don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it, That's your motivation.
That's your motivation. For example, I attended a webinar discussing transitioning to adulthood because Mr. Caleb is adult now. And I didn't know that because now that he's an adult, I have to apply for guardianship. Because he's an adult. So being his mom don't matter now.
No, not at all. Not at all. He is his own man.
Don't matter now. He's his own man. So now I have to apply for guardianship over him, and I didn't know that. I thought being mama was it.
Right.
But
so with the guardianship, you won't need power of attorney.
Exactly.
Okay, because the guardianship states that he's on the spectrum, and okay. Yeah. Part of people, if you didn't know, you know now.
But then in some states where you have to have birth, you have to have power of attorney and you have to have guardianship. So it depends on the state that you're in. So there's a tidbit. So parents, keep learning. Keep learning. No matter what stage you're in, always keep learning.
Yeah. Just a fair warning, there is adult protective services. And, again, if you're not handling the situation well, it becomes too stressful as they become adults, in their older years. I mean, you can be held liable and you can get that guardianship stripped away, if you're not doing the things that you need to do for the adult child that you are responsible for. So be considerate of that, because I worked with the adults in ARC, and there was some people who were in my care who actually needed to be taken from their family, So
stop trying to make everybody happy. We know about that one. Date yourself, spoil yourself. Girl, go out to lunch. Go get your nails done. Go get a massage. Do something to make yourself feel good. Make yourself feel pretty. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm talking for the ladies. Because the ladies, you're around the house with the sweatpants and t-shirt on all day. You do not feel pretty, okay? and just every day, all day, and you never get a chance to dress up. You never get a chance to actually feel. You always feeling like a mom, but you're not feeling like a woman. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Take the time to make yourself and spoil yourself. And for the guys too, take the time. Do what y'all do.
Or do it together. Ladies, wash that beard. Give them a nice little, trim up and oil it down, rub it up. Try to take care of each other.
That was the next point.
Please do. Please remember the time. That's all I say. Remember the time when we fell in love.
Okay, let me tell you something. Me and Miss She said we talking stuff like that one busting the what, child. That does wonders for the body and the brain.
Mind, body, and soul.
Okay.
Yeah, some motivating factor for me.
I feel so refreshed. Thank you, baby. I needed that.
I mean, gotta get there.
Okay.
It's good for your health. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. And stop overthinking. Yes. Stop overthinking. That's a big.
Oh, that's probably the biggest one. That's the biggest one. Women cannot quiet their minds, but they'll ask you what you're thinking. Ma'am, don't ask me what I'm thinking, because you're thinking about 100 things at one time. I can't figure that out. We're not the same.
Exactly.
So number one, and this cannot be overstated, right? Prioritize sleep for everyone in the family. Think about this for just a second, that if you are underslept, your ability to cope is going to go substantially down. And when something happens, your stress response is going to go substantially up. Then the last one, okay, here's the big left turn that you weren't expecting. My last bit of advice is, and I should preface this with, if you have little ones, this is not a discussion for little ones to be around, but it's have safe consensual sex. And if you don't have anybody to do that with yourself. Because there are endorphins that are released with having safe consensual sex with other people or by yourself, the release for your muscles, the breathing, it's kind of like all of the things that we've talked about all in one. It is a stress reducer if it is safe consensual sex. And it is a way to connect if you have a significant other. It is a way to connect with them and to stay together. If you don't beat yourself up about that. But there are lots of ways to have the endorphins. And by the way, this isn't just about orgasms. It is not. Like, it doesn't even have to be intercourse, but a connection with yourself or with another person and with your body is a very important thing. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, y'all, right? If we look at what are the essential parts to a person and their well-being, it's on there. It's on there. And I think sometimes we back burner that because it's like, well, who has time for that? Make time. Make time to sleep, make time to feel pleasure, make time to be in your body, make time to connect. You know what I mean? All of those things. And if you do, then, pick the ones on the list that are most readily available to you, that you're like, oh, that resonates with me, that makes sense. But work your way up to as many on the list of 10 as you possibly can, and then let us know how your stress level is doing.
Take some time to take care of yourself. We have covered some prevention strategies in more detail in past videos to avoid stress, anxiety, burnout, and depression. So if you notice signs of those, don't delay in getting help. Here are 8 tips for caregivers.
Give yourself credit for doing the best that you can at one of the toughest jobs that there is. Be as positive about the situation as you can be.
Number 2, take care of yourself. You need to be strong enough for the journey. Mentally, that means you need to get away, whether that's an activity or in a book. Physically, that could be exercise, diet, healthy lifestyle, or a mix of all 3. As far as socially, don't go at it alone. Connect with others. Emotionally, you need to be able to have an outlet to express your feelings. And spiritually, prayer works.
Number 3, caregiving is hard work, so take respite and other breaks often. Number 4, seek support from other caregivers. You are not alone in this lifestyle. Join the groups in person and online to learn and vent.
Number 5, accept offers of help and suggest specific things that people can do to help you. Ask. Be open to new ways of help and technologies that can help you care for your loved one. Please share in the comments below a technique that you employ that keeps you from being overwhelmed and helps you lighten the load.
Number 6, you'll spend a lot of time at appointments, online researching, and talking to doctors. Learn how to communicate effectively with doctors to talk about the cause and effect of situations. Number 7, get organized with your medical information and legal documents. Have a binder prepared and a computer file so everything is up to date and easy to find.
And finally, number 8, plan. Plan for today and plan for the future. We hope you enjoyed learning today about the many ways that caregivers can not only survive, but thrive. Caregivers are the emotional, physical, and mental support for someone who cannot perform in those areas on their own. We want to encourage you to know that you are not alone. We would love to send you a prayer cloth today to let you know that we believe in you and are praying with you. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7 says, "Do not be anxious or worried about anything. Pray in every situation. Pray and petition with thanksgiving. Present your requests to God. God will bless you with peace that no man can completely understand."
So, I want to go over 7 types of rest. We know about the physical rest, yes. But here is one that I think all of us as parents struggle with. Mental rest. That overthinking, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about next week. A lot of times I can say for myself, I will go to bed with a million things on my mind and never get into a deep sleep realm because my mind is still going 99 miles an hour. And you wake up tired and exhausted and you're thinking, dang, didn't I just go to sleep? Why am I so tired? Because your mind was still going. So mental rest involves giving your mind a break. Turning off the TV when you're going to bed. Stop thinking about, the kids and financial and work or whatever that's going on. Give your mind a mental break. It is very, very important, guys. The next one is, this is a big one, sis. Social rest.
Yeah, I ain't even had children on the spectrum. I gave myself like 12 years. Like 12 years. Family, friends. I had to separate myself from my eldest brother, like, for real. Because some people's energy is a bit too much. Some people take and take without giving back. People want to be a victim or vent, but they don't want any solutions. Those kind of people, I can't. It's just too much.
Sometimes you have to separate yourself from social interactions with everybody, including the children. You have to give yourself a break, because this is what brings on a lot of being overwhelmed. Especially when it's the unnecessary social stuff, like being on social media 24/7. Put down the phone sometimes. Turn off the Instagram and Facebook notifications. You don't need to hear that ding every 5 minutes. Put your phone on do not disturb sometimes. You have to give yourself a mental and social break. It's very, very important in order to keep your sanity. Creative rest. Now, this is the one I struggle with. Because I'm always wanting to look. I'll be ready to make a wreath, do some floor arrangements. I mean, all kinds of stuff will come to my head. I have so many dreams and ideas for my autism initiative. I have things for the podcast I want to do. I have things for the home I want to do. I have things in the community I want to create. Give yourself a break, or you're going to have a nervous breakdown. That's what I'm struggling with, so.
Right. Mental note, working on one of those programs at a time, because I'm like that too. I could be all over the place. ADHD, boop, squirrel. The bipolar ups and downs. I get in these rushes. I start a project and it's like, I can't stop until I'm done. I'll probably won't even eat. And it's, yeah, give yourself some rest. I agree with that one. And women, we're naturally creative. We try to think of all the creative ways to do things differently. So we have a lot of solutions as well. That's a little different.
Yeah, like the other day when I was working on all these presentations and trying to figure out where I'm going to fit them and stuff like that. Look, I looked at the clock and it was like 6 p.m. and I hadn't eaten or drinking not a thing. That's how relentless I was that day. Didn't even realize it. I started to get a headache, started shaking, carrying on. King was like, "Woman, what you?" He's like, "Yo, put that darn computer away." So look, make sure we get a creative rest, okay? If that's as important as anything else, let our brains rest from the creativity. Spiritual rest. I know, everybody don't have the, the spiritual thing, but that is important for those who do believe or have some type of spiritual connection, that we have to find, a sense of purpose and peace within ourselves. And being in that meditation or prayer, it does release a lot of the anxiety and stresses that you have, and having that moment to just breathe and relax, not only just your mind and your body, but also your inner being as well. So spiritual rest is very important as well. And last but not least, well, that's not the last one, emotional rest. That kind of ties into the mental and the social, creative. They all kind of tie in together. Would you agree, sis?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, in this one, you really need to be aware of, because your emotions affect everybody in the fucking house, and it can fluctuate so much throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. We all know this, but women, we have a hard time accepting that accountability. But it is not okay for us to, have pour down, crying fits in front of our children without no resolve. So if you do that, they have to see the resolve. They have to see the solution you worked out, how you worked through that with positive reinforcement and thought, because it's going to happen. And like I said, we're raising 3 girls, so they watch me get overly overwhelmed and cry and all this stuff. But I never wanted them to look at me as a victim, or I'm trying to play a victim role. But I would make them aware that I'm struggling right now in this moment of growth but I'm going to work through it in this way. I'm going to create positivity for myself, maybe find a different outlet, show myself grace, just all of those things. They really need to understand that, because we don't want them to continue to have the tantrums. So if they see you work through things, try to learn to work through things as well. And that's a hard one for us, because we've been allowed to misbehave or be mean or be depressed and down every month since we've gotten our menstruals, you know what I mean, in most houses. So it's become a some type of a manipulating tool for some of us, and I understand. I'm not saying I'm not empathetic to women and our pains and stuff like that, but man, we gotta suck it up. Some things you're gonna have to suck up.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Now, here's one that a lot of people don't think about, and I find it very interesting: sensory rest. Now, especially in the autism community, we always focus on our kids having sensory sensitivities, but we don't think about our own. We as well have can be have sensory overload. So here's the time that when you're feeling these types of feelings, and you're like, dealing with your day-to-day activities, and you're feeling overwhelmed, overloaded with the sounds, the lights, the crying, the screaming, the yelling, the whatever the child is experiencing, and that can cause you to have a sensory overload. So it's important that you take the time to have some relaxation. Listening to calm music, going outside, just out in nature, taking a hot bath, to kind of desensitize yourself from you being having sensory overload as well. So here are some things I would like for you guys to consider. Respite care. This is one of the things that I find a lot of people in the Black community, or we would say color community, the Black and brown community, they do not utilize this, because I think one of the reasons, because we don't trust people. Okay. you don't trust too many people, which you can't. We have these fears that that something's bad is going to. We see it in the news, like even recently we see in the news so many times, and when your child is being not treated the way they should during this time. However, there are different types of respite care. Respite care is a short-term care that relieves primary caregivers of their duties for a predetermined period. Services can range from a few hours or a few weeks. So it depends on, what type of care you're looking for. Some you can do it in home, or you can take your child to a facility. They're supposed to be certified professionals there that we're able to help with every child on the spectrum. So make sure that you vet the facility. If you take them to a facility, vet the facility very, very well. And even if you're having someone come into the home, it's very important to get references, look this person up, do a background check, do a police report, all that before you put your child in somebody else's hands.
Yes. I agree.
And what is so surprising that you could even not even hire a professional, but if you have a family member or a friend that knows your child, knows their quirks and their behaviors and things, get them to watch your kid for a couple of hours and so that you can have some time to yourself.
Yeah, I used to work for care.com. I don't know if you know that website. Yeah, I know about they got more extensive now, but many years ago I worked for care.com, and I got a couple of my consumers off of there. And of course the parents vetted me. My last consumer was Laurel, and at the time she was maybe like 38, so we weren't too far apart. I'm only a couple of years older than her. Lived on her own, so they sought me out. They vetted me, they vetted my family. I remember we went to Adirondacks. They live in Portland now, but she was highly functional, and yeah, she's absolutely our, I was to say she's our family now. A little 20 hours a week, and she made her schedule. She would call me and let me know what days, that she will possibly need me. We would work it out, and things like that. But I think those are great outlets. And like you said,
Yes.
the Medicare is including family members to care for family, so they can actually get a check, to do that, and help with getting them outside because it costs money to go everywhere, gas and listen.
And it's crazy, like, when I was in New Orleans, I had the gym that I used to I had a membership to. It was I wouldn't even call it a gym. It was like a country club, child. Had some of everything in the restaurant, all that kind of stuff in there. But they had a separate building, was like a mini Chuck E. Cheese. They had the arcade part. They had the part with the gym thing with the balls and all that kind of stuff. They had the room with the art with the what's that thing that you can play like you hitting the bowling ball and all. What's the things you put the glasses on and stuff? What's that stuff? What do they call that?
Pinball,
the virtual room and all that kind of stuff.
Paintball?
And no. You put the goggles on and you look virtual world or something like that, and you playing the games and you actually standing up and you feel like you're inside or whatever.
Yeah, that's the, like the virtual classes and stuff. And they had their own baby boxes, huh?
Yeah. So you actually drop your kid off, and they even had a baby center with for the newborns and babies and stuff. And then they had separate parts for certain ages and and teenagers and the other part. You could drop your kid off, go shopping, and come back and get him, or go inside and work out, or take one of the working out class. They had a massage person in there. You can get your head done, or just go eat. But just know that your kid was taken care of. You know what I mean? So if places like that, it's always something that you can do to just get a break and not have to like be on 10 worrying about your kid. And so there are resources out there.
You still will.
And then with me, there were two young ladies that took a liking to Caleb. Two Caucasian little ladies. They were in college, and Caleb loved them to death. So every time he would go to the door, he goes right to them. And so I noticed that, and I employed them when I want to go to the movies or something at night, and I would pay them to watch Caleb when I want to go out at night. So you can really find ways to give yourself a break.
And we know a couple people here. I know one woman, she has two kids. I think her son is autistic. They come to the book bag thing, and some of the things we put together, they come out. But I've always extended that, welcomeness to her, and she's yet to call me. Like I said, I got a park right behind my house. So some people, I don't know if they're just a little intimidated, or like you said, they see that you're doing so well, they may feel like they can't do their best, or you're going to look to them to do their best and don't want that accountability. So it's a lot of different things entwined in there. So just consider the child. That's my biggest thing. Consider all outlets for that child.
And nowadays it's that whole "you can't tell me what to do" syndrome these young people got nowadays. So
of course I can't tell you what to do, but I can suggest.
Who are you? And you, well, that kind of thing. So you have those.
Gemma Buckley from Anglicare Southern Queensland. Gemma, thank you for joining us. What do we do when something like this happens?
Respite care is really important for a carer to access, to give themselves time to rest, recuperate and take care of themselves. So there's a variety of respite options available, through to a couple of hours in your own home or a day centre, through to overnight respite in a home-like environment, to a couple of weeks at a residential facility.
Gemma, how hard is it for someone to say, look, I need to take a break?
It's very difficult for carers to admit that they need to take a break and to accept that there is help available. But carers need to understand that by accepting help and giving themselves time out will actually make them a better and a stronger carer in the long run. So
here's a really big one. ABA therapy can help prevent caregiver burnout. Now, I know that a lot of times, for the most part, a lot of parents are referred to an therapists, if they have a really good team, and that starts with the your primary care doctor and your behavioral therapist and your OT, and I found that ABA therapy is very, very important for those that have kids that's not high functioning. And what they do is they teach your child fine gross motor skills. They teach them life skills. They teach them how to cope with their emotions and their behavior. They teach them reading, writing, all that. So if this will help with their behaviors and routines at home, so you won't be feeling overwhelmed, because like we said in the beginning, you're teaching them skills for them to succeed, and putting them in ABA therapy is a wonderful, wonderful tool, especially if you start this therapy right after you get the diagnosis.
Yeah, that's the things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody asks you and they're really close and you trust them, ask them to take care of your kids. That's invaluable. So any close family or really close friends, if they ask you and you feel comfortable and they feel comfortable, I think that is worth way more than any massage or bubble bath or anything like that. Having time with either a friend or your partner, going out to dinner, not talking about the kids, reconnecting, all of those things are invaluable to parents' mental health.
Is ABA therapy intended to be? Well, ABA stands for Applied Behavioral Analysis. It's a fancy title for therapy that is meant to reduce unwanted behaviors and increase desired behaviors. For example, a possible ABA goal might be to reduce the undesirable behavior of a young child hitting other kids at school when he or she becomes frustrated. There might also be a goal for increasing a positive skill, like the child feeding himself by using a fork and a spoon. So those are two examples of goals, but there's a large variety for adults and for children. Who is ABA therapy intended for? ABA therapy is typically used for those on the spectrum, but it can be used for several other situations to help those who might need it. Ultimately, the goal of ABA therapy is to help adults and children have a better quality of life. And so that means addressing communication skills, social skills, learning skills. And since all of these are essential to everyday life, ABA therapists are very involved in the everyday life of a child or an adult and their families. What training does an ABA person have? Requirements may vary based on the particular company and the state, but for example, most ABA therapists that I've come across during my work are young women and they're in college pursuing a degree in something related to education. The actual requirements, when I looked it up at the time, were only a high school diploma and a certain amount of hours of training. Now, the supervisor will be a board certified behavior analyst. And this person has gone through extensive training and schooling, and this should be the parent's main person to contact about the therapy treatment. What should I expect when my child starts ABA therapy? A supervisor and an ABA therapist will evaluate your child first and then meet with you to create an overall plan, and that's going to include goals for your child and therapist to address. Your child is going to be continually evaluated, so new goals are going to be created as old ones were met. But that first evaluation is most likely in your home, although it might be in the clinic or maybe even a school setting, and the goals are going to pertain to those particular locations and the needs that the child has in that place.
This is very, very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I will be leaving
some children.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Go ahead, sis.
I was just going to say some children will need this for the rest of their life, because again, I took care of the adults and I've had a lot of these ABA therapy strategies in their valued outcome. So daily I had to make sure they enacted their fine motor skills by playing with things, or, getting up out the wheelchair, being on the floor and rolling on a ball. Like, it was so many things, I think they really appreciated me up there, because these people worked there for 10, 12 years. So to have a fresh set of eyes coming in and noticing the differences in these individual people that they weren't noticing, right? Because they've been so comfortable with these people and they having the same valued outcomes for years. So I came in and like, wait a minute, this one likes this, and I'm noticing this one is enjoying that. And so the outcomes would come out to be more. So you can always change those valued outcomes as the children's growth and development grow, because it will. If you be repetitive and consistent, let me tell you, these kids can do some amazing things. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, okay? Because when I come into their life as adults and I can get them to do different things, listen, these people are very capable. So don't get it twisted.
You will be so surprised. I'm telling you. So on a personal note, here is what brought me to burnout. I had a martyr complex. That was the number one thing.
Wow.
And that was even before I had Mr. Caleb. I guess you can say because I was the only girl. I was more educated than my brothers, more responsible in a way than my brothers.
Oh, wait, so we the same? Two brothers?
Yeah.
Same. And I'm the baby.
And even with my parents, with the new technology and things that they didn't know, and because I was more educated going to college and stuff, like I knew a lot of things that they didn't know, because they old school. Like my mom, she graduated from high school or whatever. That was the end of her education, but my dad only made it to 8th grade. So they relied on me for a lot of things, when it comes to business and anything that was beyond their scope, and even emotionally or even spiritually, sometimes I had a lot on my shoulders. And then when I created friendships and things, I became the sounding board for my friends. I was like, I wasn't born with gray hair for nothing. Everybody came for me for wisdom and knowledge.
You got it to give. They better get it.
No, I mean, and I remember when my grandma told me, she was like, she told me that I was blessed with, wisdom and knowledge. She said, how did she used to say it? You were born with a white stripe in the middle of your head and a veil over your eyes. You have the wisdom of Solomon. And literally, like, everybody would come to me for everything. And I mean, everything?
Wow.
Everything.
Go, Grandma.
And so then it was the point where I was sacrificing myself for other people. Not physically, you can even say physically sometimes, because sometimes I would take on people's emotions and spirits and their problems and actually feel their infirmities, and I would literally make myself sick. But it didn't matter because I felt like I needed to save and serve everybody.
Damn. Okay. So we a lot similar, honey. A lot of them energy vampires, they needed to go. Stop sucking off of me. It's a done deal.
Then, when I got older, I understood that people were literally succubus. They were sucking the life out of me. And, when you get older, you learn. So
yeah, I was young, sis, even doing that. Like, you're only gonna suck me dry too long.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
So these are the things that brought me to burnout. And then when it came to Mr. Caleb, like I told you, I was relentless. I totally forgot about me. And self-care was not important. Self-love wasn't important. It was all about him. Everybody's needs became, before my own. And so that was what brought me to burnout a time in my life. So the question is, what are yours? So, here's some myths. Yeah, what are your burnouts?
Like you said, giving. I'm just lucky to acquire a family that gives back. There's times where people get, they get complacent, and everybody gets on, comfortable mode. They on cruise control and shit, and they might need to be snapped back. you know. So and it happens, but I would have to say let's not be reactive, because when we're reactive, we're screaming, we're yelling, we're over emotional. Now it's like, oh my God, I'm not getting what I want. But you know, my consciousness brings me back to I chose this life, you know, and there's going to be times where I'm uncomfortable in it, but I'm going to have to push through, you know, because where I'm going, I'm living in reality. So, you know, I try not to, like you said, take that time for yourself. And my time is simple. I need water. You know, we're water signs. I need water. I need a pool. I need a shower. I need, you know, those simple reliefs. Because I don't want to not be around my family. I don't want to, like you said, that part of getting into the depression, feeling like we're over giving to the point of I'm not getting back. You know, but again, I'm lucky to not have that. But I have throughout the years. You know, there's been little incidents where I'm just over giving, and it's like, where's it at? But you know, just having that conversation will hopefully bring, you know, the family back to reality, right? Because if it's not that happy wife, happy life, but happy spouse, happy house. So I do say if a woman is unhappy, it's kind of hard to raise happy children, especially happy daughters. So we have to be considerate of our own emotions, and like you said, the burnout, and try to refresh ourselves some kind of way.
Right, because like we said in the beginning, they feel us, they feed on us, so they pick it up. So then they start to emulate the same feelings and emotions and actions as we do. So here is some of the myths that we tend to put on ourselves. You know, putting myself first is just wrong, or I can't afford to pamper myself. Let me tell you something. I can't afford to pamper myself. Let me tell you something, girl. Look, go to the dollar store and get you some Calgon and pour you a nice hot steaming bath and pour that Calgon in there and just lay back and light one of the little Dollar Tree candles and put some music on and just lay back in that tub. Baby, you can pamper yourself on a dime. Okay? So that is a myth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't gotta go to a spa. Baby, create you a spa right in your bathroom.
I say we can play tag in a relationship. You know, let's get this coconut oil, get this nice full body massage going on. I do you, you do me.
Okay. Get your husband to give you a little what you call it, a little pedicure, and let watch him paint your toes, and you know, do some other things after you paint your toes.
Sure. Well, mine ain't doing that. He a man. He don't eat noodles. He ain't doing that.
He not gonna paint your toes?
Nah, he not painting my toes. Nah, he'll give me a full rub down, all that other stuff. But yeah, no. He said I'm not a girl. Damn it, I don't do those things. Yeah, he's not gonna let his daughters put makeup on his face. You know, no.
I didn't say put it on him. I said put it on your toes.
Yeah, you know, he don't know how to do that. He is not skilled in that way. But he sure can use them hands. I'm just saying.
You know, I'm just saying.
He loved to watch me do it though. Put them legs up and put that polish on them toes. Yeah.
Okay. You know, because when you flexible,
I'm just saying.
Thank God for yoga and Pilates.
No. Listen, thank God for the willingness to want to do.
You learn a lot how flexible you are. But anyway, and you can I can never get the support I need. I think that is a falsehood. I think a lot of times there is a support that you need. Like we said before, sometimes we fail in seeking out that support, or we may have the support, but we hold back from being vulnerable so that the people that are around us can help us. You agree with that, sis?
Yeah, definitely. But we do have the bad seeds. We do have the women who know they need help. They don't look for help. Right. And house is a disaster. The child is not taken care of. So we do have situations like that. You know, so that's when the family unit, the village who is aware of these things to step in. You know, accountability is needed, especially for the safety of these kids. Because things are happening on parents' watch, and we got to be an advocate for them, those who cannot speak up for themselves, you know. And I'm hard on that. I do not play. These kids cannot advocate for themselves, you know.
So I think here we go. So we're going to talk about self-care real quick. Again, my little cute one there. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, adorable.
What does self-care mean to you, and how do you go about doing it? So, can you read that for me?
Sure. So, what is self-care? Self-care is important to maintaining a healthy relationship with yourself. It means doing things to take care of our minds, bodies, and souls by engaging in activities that promote well-being and reduce stress. Doing so enhances our ability to live fully, vibrantly, and effectively. The practice of self-care also reminds both you and others that your needs are valid and a priority.
Yes. I have to go and get Mr. Caleb up. Okay. Here we go. How do I practice self-care? We're focusing on the positive. Acknowledge what you have accomplished. I think this is important too, because a lot of times we feel like we haven't done anything right, especially when we're going through these stages. You have to look at the things that you are able to accomplish. Like with me, with Mr. Caleb, I look at how, when he started out talking and hitting all his milestones, and then all of a sudden, I'm not going to say what happened because that's controversial, but I have confirmation from a doctor that that's what happened. But we'll get into that later. When it comes to those shots, people are like, oh no, it doesn't. But anyway, but I look at the accomplishments with him, starting from being nonverbal to graduating from high school with honors. That's an accomplishment.
Absolutely. And shout out to you. Shout out to Caleb.
And if sometimes it used to be hard for me to accept praises from other people and other parents and other teachers and stuff when Caleb was in school. They would say, "You're so good," and I'm like, "Child, I don't know what y'all talk about." But now I understand that helps with my self-care as well. That sense of being that I did do a good job. I did do a good job.
Absolutely.
And accept
celebrate the small milestones, man. Those small things. The baby that's nonverbal that says hey or hi or hello or mommy or chip or apple. Like
exactly. I saw a TikTok video of a mom and her daughter, and she said apple for the first time. She told her mom she wanted an apple.
Yeah, I saw that this morning actually.
Yeah, and I was like, see, those right there is an accomplishment, not just for the child, but it's an accomplishment for you, because it shows your dedication to your child to get them to where they need to be. So the next one is continue family rituals. Like, don't stop doing things with the total family, just because you have, a child with special needs, and, you do have to change some things to incorporate with them, but other things that you did together, don't stop doing it. And this will help keep the whole family unit close. And the whole family unit will be there for support when you don't just abruptly stop doing the things that the family did together. You agree, sis?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Give yourself time to adjust. Make time for your friends. We talked about that. Explore creative interests outside of autism. We talked about that. Like, get a life outside of this. And get involved with the autism community. And then again, there it is. We're finding that support and respite care. I put a little chart here. Types of self-care. When you have the physical, of course, sleep, stretching, walking, emotional, coping skills, compassion therapy, journaling. We're going to talk about that. The social, the spiritual, the personal, creating space for yourself, even financial self-care, learning how to budget with the finances you have, because a lot of times things can be expensive when things aren't paid by insurance. You know what I mean? So, finding other avenues with that, and even work having, if you are a working mom, finding that work-home balance as well is different types of self-care. Here are a few more examples. Now, I put a little bit because, I like to clean. I don't know what it is about cleaning. Cleaning kind of like, just, I don't know. I just like it. It just relaxes me. Okay.
Yeah, me too. It's therapy. Folding laundry, doing laundry, seriously. Dishes, like I'm not an uproar. I'm glad I have, dishwashers here, my children, and a dishwasher we don't use. But when it's time to do it, it's not like I'm in an upset. Oh God, I got to do these dishes. It's actually like me organizing the thoughts in my head while I'm doing it.
Cross something off your to-do list. You have something on your to-do list that you had on it for like umpteen years or whatever. Cross it off. Exercise, get a massage, go for a walk, listen to music, meditation, play a game, practice breathing, reading, take a bath. It list goes on and on and on with things. Another thing is distraction. Use distraction as a strategy. Distract yourself from, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed with a certain task that you're doing. Say if you are working with your child with the ABA, one of his ABA assignments or his OT assignments, and you're feeling overwhelmed and kind of frustrated, take a moment and distract yourself from it. It's very important to kind of distract yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed. So activities are a great way for us to distract ourselves from our current emotions until we are better able to cope. When our levels of distress is too high, we may not be able to effectively handle a situation and need ways to bring our emotional state down. Because sometimes we can be on 10 all day. Okay.
20.
Some suggestions may seem similar to self-care, but distraction activities serve as a different purpose. One person's self-care activity is another's distraction technique. Let's see. Here's a few examples of distraction activities. Call a friend, but don't talk about what is distressing you. Talk about something totally different. Let's talk about these hoes on these daggone podcasts. Let's talk about that. I don't want to talk about what's stressing me out right now, but let's talk about the panel.
Right, because if you do, you're going to keep over analyzing it, making more of it, probably moving the goalpost on shit, Yeah, we did too much with that.
Right. Create something. Describe your surroundings using your 5 senses. That goes back into painting or just talking with a friend. Do something kind for someone else. Focus on a single task. Go to an event. Trying something new. Go volunteer. Go out to eat. Again, like I said in the description, sometimes what is someone's self-care activity can be what your distraction activity. So they are kind of run concurrent with each other. I love this picture right here, sis. Check it out.
That was me this morning. Do you have a self-care plan? Do you follow it? That's cute. Oh man.
So look, if you don't have a self-care plan, create one. And just try to because now I know a lot of times, sometimes we need to be reminded. We need to be on the schedule because sometimes, I think I'm autistic because I need a routine. Okay. And so
I think we all are. I think a lot of us are to some degree. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I would never be placed on the spectrum or nothing, but there was a time I could not go to the club, sis, because the lights, the flashing of the lights and stuff, the sensory things, certain materials. I'm very OCD, the way I do certain things, the way I shower and wash my body, and the way I brush my teeth and wash my, I'm very so. Yeah.
So, utilize, your calendar, your timers to, set your timer when, okay, after I got my child into a certain activity or something. Set a timer. So, okay, if they're doing this, let me take a moment to myself. If they're occupied, let me take a moment to myself. So create a self-care plan for yourself on a daily basis, or on an hourly basis, depending on the needs of the child.
Caring for others, no matter if it is for an elderly, a patient, a typically developing child, or a child with special needs, requires mental, emotional, and physical energy from the caregiver. However, this energy is not limitless. If a caregiver continuously cares for another person for an extended period of time, there may be negative consequences that may happen as a result. For example, the caregiver may experience burnout, fatigue, mental health concerns like anxiety or depression, or caregivers may give less effort than their best because they have pushed themselves too far. Ultimately, a caregiver needs to care for themselves in order to provide the best care to someone else. There are multiple dimensions to one's life which influence self-care. In order to be able to have self-care, there should be a balance and wellness in all areas of life, which includes inner life such as thoughts, emotions, and intellectual development, physical health, relationship with others, work life, activities and interactions in the community, and spirituality, whatever that means to you. At times, it can be difficult trying to figure out what you can do as a form of self-care. So here are some examples of activities that you can do as a means of doing so, which are prioritizing close relationships by spending time with important people such as friends and family. This will allow you to be able to share the struggles and difficulties that you face when caring for your child, building a support system for you to lean on in times of hardship. Finding personal downtime, which will be considered your stress-free and no caregiving time. This will provide you with the space to truly relax and not overextend your energy, therefore allowing you to be able to recollect yourself and restore the energy that was lost. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Some things that can be done are getting enough quality sleep, exercising, eating healthy food, and participating in recreational and leisure activities that is of interest to you, just to name a few. It is important for caregivers to take care of themselves so that they will be able to have the energy and resources to engage and care for your child in the most efficient and loving way.
Now, here is one of the special things I want to talk about, and that is can be very beneficial, is journaling. Because sometimes we do get into a place where we don't want to talk to anyone, but we need to unload those feelings and emotions. So having a journal, writing down your thoughts and feelings and emotions, that you can't seem to find the words to express to other people. Writing it down and creating the journal I think this is a very good tool for parents to do when you're feeling that isolation, or nobody will understand, or I don't feel comfortable talking to someone about a certain situation yet. I think journaling will be very, very beneficial, so that you won't keep those feelings and emotions pent up inside. Because when you do keep those things pent up inside, then it turns into something else, or a negative. You agree, sis?
Journals. I have old journals still. Just showed the kids the journal I had when I first met their father. So it's a lot of stories in there that they'll read later, of course, when I'm gone. Yeah, so journaling is good. We influence that for anybody, because it helps show some clarity in your thoughts. And then sometimes you can reflect. You can go back in a year and reflect on it. Yeah, see how you've grown and changed. Yeah.
So like my little lady here on the screen says, support groups don't work for me. So is there something else that I can try? Yes. Journaling. Writing helps you to organize and understand your thoughts and feelings. Keeping a journal that we write in with some regularly can thus be extremely helpful for our physical and emotional well-being. And again, like we were talking, I was saying earlier that it helps you kind of express yourselves when you can't find the words in person, but you like, for example, like with King, I can talk when I want to, but then when I'm feeling very emotional, because I'm a Cancer, okay? When I'm feeling very emotional, it's hard for me to say the words. So he understands me that well that he will understand. It's like he will say to me, "Do you want to write it down?" And he'll give me, because he knows that I will. I'll be like, "Oh no, wait, just give me." So he'll tell me like, "Do you want to write it down?" Because he knows that when I'm on 10, I can't formulate my words the way I want to or should. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean, you're thinking. You're not thinking. You're thinking logically with your emotion. There you go. I had to get it right on how I wanted to say that.
Exactly. And then
and that is hard to work.
And then a lot of times I'll end up writing a poem or a short story. So
right. Oh Lord.
I do end up writing a poem. I'll end up writing a poem or a story. Then we're like, hey, we need to put this in the book because this is.
Yeah, and even not just journaling, that was something that we felt was a good thing in our relationship, because there was times where we did have some growth issues that we weren't growing together, right? So writing a note, writing a letter to one another, and nothing of the blaming, like our notes, and I think we still have a lot of them, just expressing, you misunderstood this, or I may have misunderstood that. This is what I got from the conversation, and I don't want to do this, or if I've done this to hurt you, you know what I mean? Just all of that writing, those considerate letters, because sometimes when we talk to each other, we're seeing, again, offended, angry, it's the tone. It's really not even what you're saying. Sometimes it's the tone. And like you said, when our emotions are out of whack, we could be screaming and carrying on, but we're no threat. But let them get loud, and now they're a threat. So it's, sometimes we gotta learn to control ourselves a little more. And I think that's awesome that King says, you need to write it down. I love that. I say that to the kids, I say that to the kids, sis.
I'll be crying. He can't take the crying. He be like, "Oh Lord."
That's right.
Like, okay, do you?
They get desensitized.
Yeah, he does not like to see me cry at all. Like,
oh, I don't think women realize that. If that's our first form of reacting to anything, any distress, is crying. Like, a man eventually is going to get desensitized to that. Whether you're his mother, his wife, like, it's not that they're not empathetic, but it's like the crying is not going to fix anything. What are we going to do? What's the solution you want? Do you want me to help? It's like
just saying, like, calm down, because it gets to, he doesn't like to see me emotional, because it gets to him. Like, just take a moment. You want to write it down, or we just what I'm saying?
I've absolutely been guilty. Yes, overwhelming emotions, and take it out on him.
So here's a little bit of Anyway, here's a little bit of tips that I had when I first started my little journaling thing. Caleb's first teacher, the one I did the interview with yesterday, MJ, she actually gave me these pointers when I first started doing it, and that was like when Caleb was like 3 or 4 years old. So this is what we started with. So here's some of the questions you should ask yourself when you start doing your journaling. What's been really hard about being a mother or father today? Meaning that day, what were you experiencing that day that was hard for you? What contributions have you made to your child and your family today? We're not talking about in journal. We're talking about that day that you're writing in this journal. How do you feel about life in general? Some other questions is, the best thing about my child is, the worst thing about my child is, a feeling or thought that I'm embarrassed about. Some things that made me proud lately happened when I grieve about my dreams that will never be, meaning what thought that you had about your child, the dreams that you have for your child that that's never will be. And some of these goes back to when you're going through the grieving stages. So that's why I'm saying, like, this is some of the questions I had when I first started out. And my child has taught me what? What has
more than you would believe.
Exactly. Have the patience, Lord, I got. I didn't know I had.
I would say the first thing they taught me, because it's a common thing that people say, I treat all my kids the same. They actually taught me that I needed to be a different person for each one of them.
Yeah,
I'm still me, but certain characteristics of me needed to be up front or tucked away for each individual child, for them to grow individually, because they all needed different things from me. For real. And that tug of war is amazing. When you have multiple children, that tug of war is amazing. And imagine if they're like in triplet stages, back to back. So just know that with those assessments, make all them kids learn together. Because that youngest one is going to know that math at the same time that oldest one is knowing it. You know what I mean? Because they all learning together.
So develop your self-care plan. I actually will have a self-care plan template on the website, and I will have a link in the description, or you can create your own. Fill out your self-care plan with activities that you enjoy and it supports your well-being. Keep it in a place where you can see it every day. Don't hide it in the drawer where you would totally
forget about it.
Yeah. So make sure you keep it where you can see it. It's like in your face. And try to stick to your plan and practice the activities regularly. So if it's like going for a walk, make sure you do it every day, or when, the weather is good. And so whatever you put on there, make sure you practice it on the regular, because they say, in order to develop a habit, you have to do it regularly. And then at some point in time, reassess, your plan. Look at the things that you kind of didn't really enjoy, or you really didn't have enough time to do, and kind of reassess it and kind of move things around, or add something new that kind of really fits with your time frame when you're dealing with your children in the household and work-life balance. So I have a short clip I want us to watch, and I found she was talking about self-care, but however, she talked about some things that a lot of times we don't really think about. So let's listen to what she had to say.
Most of the time we think of self-care as going to get a massage, going to get our nails done, having time to take a gym class, to take a run, going on vacation, going up. All those things are great, by the way. So I vote yes for all of those. However, there's some elements about self-care that I think are really important. And oftentimes we don't think of them as self-care. One of them is to learn to set boundaries and limits for yourself, like saying no, maybe examining certain even people in your life who may be depleting and need to be weeded out for a time. Bring people into your world who are more replenishing to you. So looking at your relationships is a way of self-care. Setting boundaries and limits with others for things that you feel like you're obligated to do. And speaking up about what you need and asking for help. So asking for help, I think, is a very hard thing for people to do, but it is a really key element of self-care. Oftentimes, we like to think we can do it all, and some of us can be accused of being chronically self-sufficient, and so it's okay to reach out and ask for help. In fact, it's imperative.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I learned from a wise person that you should have your 911 list, and this idea of like who brings energy, replenishes, but have a list of people and really make sure you use that as often as you can.
Okay. So that's what you think about what she said
Yeah, the
about
self-care.
the setting boundaries. I like that. That first one. That's one of the things we struggle with. Is the
Setting the
setting the
boundaries.
boundaries. You know.
I mean, didn't we do that for conscious parenting? I have a whole class for it because Doc asked me to put something together. I mean, and it's something I do with Madison on the regular. Again, being homeschooled and having to go on the Baltimore streets, we got a park right in the back, so the kids, they get rowdy sometimes. So she absolutely is learning, setting boundaries and advocating for herself. So she ain't no sucker. I absolutely can see that. So I appreciate that. But it's a challenge to teach that because grown people don't know them. It's amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, we go almost at the end. So the takeaways is identifying your stressors, identifying the things that will cause you to have burnout. And we talked about some self-care strategies. And the last thing is, making sure you take care of yourself. One thing I've learned in just being a parent, period, that you can't take care of your child if you're sick and you're down. If you're mentally all over the place, if you're emotionally all over the place, and you're stressed out and you're worried to the point that you're making yourself sick, how are you going to be there to take care of your children if you can't take care of yourself? Sis, what's your takeaways from the presentation?
Oh man, it was awesome. A lot of information. I think it's a confidence building I get from the presentation. I think it'll build one's confidence because I think that's what parents lack. I see that a lot. I talk about them being wussies and things like that. So, just having that confidence. And again, like you said, the reading more, doing the research, learning your own child is going to make you be the best advocate for that said child. And it's our job, and responsibility. So hopefully this will build the confidence of, a lot of parents who are struggling, to just accept the life that they are going to have to live in now into the future. That there are so many different resources, because again, my mother worked for a psychiatric center, Creedmoor, back when we're talking 40 years ago, over 40 years ago, and it was absolutely different. There were no resources. Everybody was grouped in together. So it was really bad. But now there is so much resources, and all they really need to do is reach out. And if you find one that doesn't give good service, skip them. Done. Yeah, we're not going to do that. And go to the next one because there's so many. And when you find a good family, get up under them. Get a mentor. It's okay to have a mentor. Envy and jealousy will ruin your life. You understand? Because some people are naturally willing to educate you and help you get where you need to be so you're confident enough to navigate this world with your child who is awesomely created, Yeah. So it was awesome. Exactly. I appreciate it. And your time because
And so here are some resources and some of the where I got my information from, because people always talk about where you get this from. It's just look, okay, here you go. And I will be linking everything in the description, and you can find all these things on my autism website. Here's some of the sources that I cite and some of the resources for parents. If you don't like to read, here are some video resources. I actually been doing the yoga breathing. It's been helping me stay off of 10.
Oh yeah. I have to incorporate it into homeschool. Child needs some centering. Gotta center yourself.
Yeah, because child, especially with everything going on with King and this crazy politician, child, I've been on 10. Like, let me look. Y'all people better leave me alone.
Definitely understand.
Oh my goodness! Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you would like any of the materials that you've seen, you can always go to www.autisticchildrenconnectingparents.com, or you can email me at support@accpsafe.com, or just send me a message, a DM, or anything. You'll be able to find the information for this presentation.
I still kept it 100. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. They ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Yeah, who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't. Long time coming, black on the bottom of my feet from running, cataracts under my eyes from hustling, going from buying to selling to customers, run up the business, God is my witness, sun up to sun up from Monday to Sunday, we maxing our limits, my mind running like Tom Cruise on an action movie, moving a mission, they say that I'm tripping, I've been told I need a vacation, I'm finessing a visit, first class, my feet up high in the air on business, yeah, cover this city, your city ain't working, it's hard for nothing, she told me don't let up, it's on us to make it, it's on us to crush it, now it's gonna take some just to make some, so put that in your budget, yeah, can't keep moving your dreams for cheap when you ain't even budging, what got you bugging, make you a play, don't be scared, I'm reluctant, you made it from nothing, then figure out your clutching, everything you want in front of you, ain't no discussion, look, it's been a long time coming, they ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging, putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100, yeah, it's been a long time coming, they ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging, putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100, yeah, who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't play, play,
It's been a long time coming, track star a long time running, I exterminate foes, they bugging, I'm joke, I want my nuggets, gold, platinum chain, call up Johnny Dang, dog, with my brains, I go off like hurricanes until my diamonds look like rain, my verses, gas, I'm on it, spaz, the business, cash, no money, pass, Kenny said I need a verse, I said give me like 30, I did it in 15 for real, I've been on fire, they want me to chill, I've been on fire, they want me to,
look, it's been a long time coming, they ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging, putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100, yeah, it's been a long time coming, they ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging, putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100, yeah, who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't play, play, who don't, yeah. It's been a long time coming, they ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging it, putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100, yeah, it's been a long time coming, they ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging it, putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100, yeah, who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't play, 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 who don't play, play, who don't, long time coming, black on the bottom of my feet from running, cataracts under my eyes from hustling, going from buying to selling to customers, run up the business, God is my witness, sun up to sun up from Monday to Sunday, we maxing our limits, my mind running like Tom Cruise on an action movie, moving a mission, they say that I'm tripping, I've been told I need a vacation, I'm finessing a visit, first class, my feet up high in the air on business, yeah, cover this city, your city ain't working, it's hard for nothing, she told me don't let up, it's on us to make it, it's on us to crush it, now it's gonna take some just to make some, so put that in your budget, yeah, can't keep moving your dreams for cheap when you ain't even budging, what got you bugging, make you a play, don't be scared, I'm reluctant, you made it from nothing, then figure out your clutching, everything you want in front of you, ain't no discussion, look, it's been a long time coming, they ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging, putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100, yeah, it's been a long time coming, they ain't cuffing my cloth, they tugging, putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100, yeah, who don't play,